In this video, we'll talk about how to update a printed annotated code. First, let me point out that knowing how to update your research is a critical skill, especially when you're doing your research in print. Before the internet, print updates were rushed to libraries as fast as possible by private publishers. Unfortunately, government being government is not so fast. That's why the private publishers exist, to fill that gap. Now, what will we do in this video? I'm going to demonstrate how to update West California annotated codes. At the very end, I'm going to describe, but I'm not going to demonstrate, how to update Deering's and the two federal codes. First, the basics. Print codes are updated by supplements. Some supplements have been codified and annotated, some haven't. The uncodified supplements are based on the session laws. And eventually, when the supplements become really large, the entire hardbound volume is reprinted. And so a new replacement volume will come in. We'll take the old one off the shelf and put the new one up. First, let's introduce the pocket part. A pocket part is just an annual supplement that slips inside a pocket in the back of a volume of the code. Now let me introduce you to LD, one of our talented library assistants at the Indio branch of the library, to demonstrate the pocket part. LD is standing in front of our set of West California annotated codes. I'm going to have her pull out the volume with probate code 6100.5. She'll open it to the back. She'll turn it and show you the pocket part. Now she'll show you how it slips in and out of its little pocket. And now she'll return the book to the shelf. Thank you, LD. Now let's take a closer look at the pocket part that LD just showed you. This is the front page of the pocket part from the volume that contains probate code section 6100.5, the one we're using. Now you'll notice this is a 2021 pocket part. Unfortunately, due to certain logistical problems, we haven't received the 2022 pocket part yet. Normally it would be in the book by now. But I can demonstrate this to you just as well with this one. Now this is the first page, and I'm just showing it to you because I want to draw your attention to the first paragraph. I will explain why that's important to you later, but it's always worth a quick read. Now I've turned to the part of the pocket part that covers Division 6. You don't actually have to do this. You can go directly to your section number, but I wanted to show you it's organized just like the main volume. Then I turned to section 6100.5, and you'll see here that this page includes not only 6100.5 but 6100. And let's look at that one first. Notice you have the section number and the definition, but there's no language that looks like it's part of the statute. And that's because there have been no changes to that language. There are some things listed here, but what they are is new law reviews and journal commentaries and one new note of decision. So if you turn to your section number and don't see any new statutory language, that simply means there's been no changes. Now look at 6100.5. There is new statutory language here. So there has been a change to this section. What they do is they republish the entire section, and you can see the changes. If you look down below, it tells you that additions or changes are indicated by underlining and deletions are indicated by asterisks. So there you can see some language has been added and some language has been deleted. Most of this appears to have been an effort to make the statute more understandable. And I plan to do a video, probably the last one in the statute series, about how to read statutes, so we'll talk about that then. Now after this section you can see that there's new historical and statutory notes. Then we turn to the next page and we see that there's new law review and journal commentaries, and there's new research references. And we turn the page again and we see that there's actually new notes of decisions. Now the new notes continues onto another page, but to save time I haven't included it. You'll notice it does have a one-line index. That's because this particular line, testamentary capacity, has been added to the index. And so 7.5 is an additional category. Otherwise it would be the same note number that you used before. Now to go back to that first page, that first paragraph shows you how up-to-date this pocket part is. It brings up to date the text of the West codes through Chapter 372 of the 220 portion of the 219 to 220 regular session. Now, ordinarily there would be some supplementary pamphlets to this pocket part for the time in between the pocket part and when the next pocket part will come out, because they're annual. So there would be some in-between supplementary pamphlets, but because of our logistical problem, I don't have them at the moment to show you. But the second step after the pocket part would be to look at any existing supplementary pamphlets. The third step then is to go to the California Legislative Service. And because this pocket part is 1 year out of date, I would actually need to look at 2 years, 2021 and 2022. Now to save time again, I've already looked in 2021 and there were no changes, so I'm just going to skip that and we'll go directly to 2022, which is the blue set on the right. There's two ways to find out whether there have been any changes to your section. In the very last volume of that 2022 set, there's an index, and you can go to a relevant search term, in this case probate, and you can look and you can see that there doesn't appear to have been any changes made to a section that would affect us. The other choice you have is to go to a list in that last volume called Sections Affected. And I can actually look up Probate Code Section 61.5, and I see it's not listed here. So there have been no changes. If it were listed, it tells me whether it's added or amended, and it tells me which chapter number to go look at. Since we don't have any changes, I'm actually going to show you one that does exist. It was about beneficiaries in the probate code, and so I turned to Chapter 32, and this is what you would see. So this is the session law, which is just a reprint of the actual slip law or chapter numbered law, chaptered law they call them in California. It would show you what changes were made. Now this was to a different section, but it'll give you an idea of what it would look like. And that's all there is to it. It's a three-step process: pocket part, supplementary pamphlets, and then legislative service. Now, if you were using Deering's or the USCA or the USCS, it's the same three-part system. Pocket parts, although sometimes those pocket parts are not in pockets, they're standing on the shelf next to the volume. Then the intermediary supplements or pamphlets, and then a legislative service. Now, I've included some information here about USCA and USCS's legislative service. I'm not going to read that, but you can read it and take some notes from it if you need to. If you need any help with all of this, as always, just ask library staff. Now, our next video will be about using an index to an annotated code.